Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed. Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed with News Source Crawler's edition from April 21, 2025, which provides a comprehensive daily news digest. Top songs on YouTube music charts, Global edition from April 11 to April 17, 2025. 1. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. 2. APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. 3. El Mayor de los Ranas by Victor Valverde and Jair Torres. 4. Paso Bame Solto, Slowed by ATLXS. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global for the period from Friday, April 11 to Thursday, April 17, 2025, the following tracks. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Ordinary by Alex Warren, and APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. Top-selling digital games on Nintendo US as of April 21, 2025. Minecraft, Hades, NBA 2K25, Overcooked. 2. Steam's most popular games. Featuring the leading games in sales and player engagement worldwide on Steam. Based on the revenue rankings of the top 100 products, from Tuesday, April 1, 2025, to Tuesday, April 8, 2025. Counter-Strike 2. Schedule 1. Marvel Rivals. PUBG, Battlegrounds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA issues recommendations regarding credential vulnerabilities linked to a possible compromise of older Oracle cloud systems. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Microsoft's BitNet B1.582B4T represents a significant addition to the realm of artificial intelligence. It is the inaugural open-source, native 1-bit large language model, LLM, that operates at a scale of 2 billion parameters. This model, crafted by Microsoft Research, was trained using a vast dataset of 4 trillion tokens. It showcases that native 1-bit LLMs can match the performance of top-tier open-weight, full-precision models of comparable size. Additionally, it provides notable benefits in terms of computational efficiency, including improvements in memory usage, energy consumption, and latency. Chinese scientists have issued a warning that the leading rice-producing countries are experiencing the most severe heavy metal pollution globally. Researchers predict that climate change will render rice toxic. In the United States, a study has revealed that toothpaste is extensively contaminated with lead and various other metals. A project has commenced in the UK aimed at extracting carbon from the ocean. China has set up the globe's inaugural 3-satellite constellation positioned in the space between Earth and the Moon. In another development, Chinese robots participated in the world's first humanoid half-marathon, competing against humans, but ultimately fell significantly behind. China has created a potent non-nuclear hydrogen explosive, which holds military applications for executing precise thermal strikes. Ukraine has imposed a ban on Chinese companies for allegedly assisting Russia in missile production. Despite this, China refutes President Zelensky's accusation of supplying weapons to Russia. Just a day prior, Zelensky claimed that China is indeed providing arms to Russia. A source indicates that the Trump administration was prepared to acknowledge Russian control over Crimea as part of a strategy to conclude the Ukraine conflict, while the U.S. is reportedly offering to reduce sanctions on Russia in a peace proposal for Ukraine. The Trump administration has replaced its COVID-19 website with a detailed discussion on the lab leak theory. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, has reportedly directed its staff to put on hold all new cases related to transgender discrimination, according to employees. Trump officials have attributed a recent confrontation with Harvard to an error, as the Wall Street Journal reports that the Trump administration is considering withdrawing an additional $1 billion in funding from the university due to its anger. Sam Altman acknowledges that using polite phrases like please and thank you with ChatGPT results in the unnecessary expenditure of millions of dollars in computing resources. OpenAI's latest AI models designed for reasoning tend to produce more false information. 3 days ago, OpenAI introduced a technology capable of reasoning with images. Moody's suggests that investments in generative AI could enhance the potential for co-working within the financial sector. Furthermore, Wikipedia is providing AI developers with its data to combat bot scrapers. EU lawmakers are being provided with anti-spying phone pouches for their upcoming visit to Hungary. The Texas House has given the green light to establish a new state cybersecurity command at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Phishers are exploiting Google OAuth to impersonate Google in a DKIM replay attack. DHL plans to stop sending packages valued at more than $800 to customers in the United States worldwide. Ford has decided to pause the delivery of its vehicles to China due to the imposition of tariffs. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, has made remarks suggesting that the threats of tariffs from the United States could present an opportunity for India to focus on manufacturing locally, potentially leading to a significant Make in India initiative. A month prior, Reuters had reported that India was considering reducing tariffs on over half of the imports it receives from the United States, according to sources, in an effort to protect its own export market. There has been a significant 366% increase in chip shipments to Malaysia as a result of stricter measures against the smuggling of NVIDIA AI GPUs, in anticipation of upcoming sectoral tariffs. U.S. chip manufacturers are concerned that they are losing ground in China's AI market to Huawei. In response, Huawei has launched the Ascend 920 AI chip to address the gap created by the absence of NVIDIA's H20. China is set to welcome Indonesia for significant diplomatic and defense discussions, marking a strategic shift towards Southeast Asia. During his Southeast Asia tour, Chinese President Xi Jinping urged Cambodia to oppose protectionism while Phnom Penh sought loans, emphasizing Beijing's dependability amid U.S. tariff threats. China's People's Liberation Army has been invited to participate in Vietnam's military parade, as both nations commit to strengthening their defense relations. Vietnam's Prime Minister praised the unique bond with the United States shortly after hosting President Xi. Researchers in Israel have successfully utilized gene editing techniques to eradicate half of the tumors located in the head and neck regions of mice. Innovative water microcleaners have been developed that autonomously disperse, effectively capture microplastics, and then rise to the surface, facilitating their removal. Furthermore, a study has concluded that menstrual cycles do not impact women's cognitive abilities. Tesla Cybertruck is facing challenges, leading to the introduction of new discounts and a reduction in production levels. Subaru is reintroducing physical knobs and buttons in its vehicles. In the United States, Sam's Club is removing self-checkouts across all its locations and implementing a scan-and-go system, as part of a remodel affecting 600 stores that will also eliminate cashier positions. A parliamentary subpanel in Nepal has uncovered the embezzlement of billions of rupees during the construction of the China-funded Pokhara International Airport. The CEO of Bybit has reported that approximately 28% of the $1.4 billion worth of hacked cryptocurrency has vanished, being transferred to peer-to-peer and over-the-counter platforms. Oregon is taking action against Coinbase following the SEC's decision to drop its federal lawsuit. Iran is demanding assurances from the United States that it will not withdraw from the nuclear agreement once more. In a related development, the United States has stationed anti-ship missiles on Philippine Islands located to the south of Taiwan for the very first time. China has pledged to retaliate against the United States' newly implemented discriminatory port fees, which were introduced just 2 days ago. However, in response to industry criticism, the United States has subsequently reduced port fees on ships constructed in China. The Curiosity rover has discovered carbonates on Mars, suggesting that a carbon cycle was active on the planet in its ancient past. Scientists have found uncommon evidence that Earth's crust is undergoing changes beneath the Sierra Nevada. Furthermore, research indicates that skin injuries might lead to food allergies, as damage to the skin can trigger allergic reactions to antigens that are not located nearby. Indian students are reconsidering their plans to study in the U.S., causing panic among education loan companies as inquiries have decreased by 50%. In the United States, the Federal Reserve estimates that over 9 million student loan borrowers are overdue on their payments following the resumption of billing. Teen Vogue has made a comment on the situation, stating that the Florida State University shooter highlights the threat posed by radicalized white men to college campuses, rather than student protesters. Just 3 days ago, it was reported that the Florida State shooting resulted in 2 deaths, with the son of a sheriff's deputy being taken into custody. Authorities in Pakistan have detained more than 170 individuals in connection with attacks on KFC restaurants that were motivated by anti-US and anti-Israel sentiments. Japan's red light district is experiencing an influx of sex tourists, who are being attracted by the current weakness of the yen and the influence of social media videos. Colombia has announced a health emergency following the deaths of numerous people due to yellow fever. China has imposed sanctions on certain members of the U.S. Congress, officials, and other individuals who have been deemed to have acted inappropriately regarding Hong Kong. Boeing has started the process of returning aircraft that were previously rejected by Chinese airlines. China has paused its orders for U.S. soybeans and corn in anticipation of a potential escalation in tariffs. Furthermore, China has pledged to retaliate against any nations that choose to align with the United States in efforts to isolate Beijing. In the United States, Christmas is under pressure as the toy industry suffers significantly from China's tariffs. The Wall Street Journal mentions that the European Union postponed taking action against Apple and Meta right before trade discussions commenced. In Canada, Carney has promised tax reductions and increased defense spending as part of his election platform. El Salvador's president has proposed a prisoner exchange with Maduro, offering Venezuelans deported by the U.S. Border crossings have come to a standstill due to Trump's stringent policies. The New York Times criticizes the situation, likening it to the Soviet Union's practice of making people disappear. The Washington Post highlights Trump's assertion of unrestricted presidential authority over immigration. Wired reveals that DOJ is developing a comprehensive database to monitor and track immigrants. The Trump administration has mandated social media vetting for visa applicants with connections to Gaza. Hegseth is reportedly having shared details of an attack in a second Signal chat. A former Pentagon official has cautioned that the department's dysfunction might lead to Hegseth's downfall. 3 of Hegseth's aides, who were dismissed during a leak investigation, have criticized the allegations as unfounded. Rubio has refuted claims that Trump will politicize the Foreign Service and reduce the number of embassies. It has been reported that Trump recently drafted an executive order for a disciplined reorganization of the State Department, which would involve closing embassies and reducing the size of climate change and refugee offices. The Guardian has commented that RFK's remarks indicate that autistic individuals and their families worldwide should be concerned about Trump and his associates. 5 days ago, Kennedy made the controversial statement that autism is preventable, which has sparked anger among researchers. Ted Sarandos addresses James Cameron's idea of AI reducing movie costs. There's a greater chance to enhance films by 10%. Netflix identifies prospects in video podcasts and increased creator content on its platform. The number of UK consumers engaging in illegal sports streaming has surged dramatically, according to police reports. The Vatican announced in a video statement that Pope Francis has passed away at the age of 88, leading to the postponement of Serie A games. Doge made a visit to the National Gallery of Art to engage in discussions regarding the museum's legal status. Furthermore, Trump is in the process of replacing the acting IRS commissioner, a move that is linked to a conflict between the Treasury and Elon Musk. California has revealed its intention to ease the safeguards in place for wolves due to an increase in their population. In a separate development, billionaire art collector Thomas Kaplan has decided to auction off a Rembrandt drawing of a lion with the proceeds going towards wildlife conservation efforts. Additionally, Seagate has asserted that its hard drives are more environmentally sustainable compared to solid-state drives, SSDs.
Get your daily news fix from NewsSourceScrawler's latest edition. April 18, 2025, featuring crypto, politics, tech, and more. Top songs on YouTube music charts. Global Edition from April 4 to April 10, 2025. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. El Mayor de los Ranas by Victor Valverde and J.R. Torres. Aaj Ki Rap by Madhu Banti Bagchi, Divya Kumar, and Sachin. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global, spanning from Friday, April 4 to Thursday, April 10, 2025. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Ordinary by Alex Warren, and APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. Top-selling digital games on Nintendo US as of April 14, 2025. Minecraft, Hades, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and Stardew Valley. Discover the most popular games on Steam. Based on the revenue rankings from the top 100 products, covering the period from Tuesday, April 1, 2025, to Tuesday, April 8, 2025. The featured games are Counter-Strike 2, Schedule 1, REPO, and NZOI. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. Fortinet has issued an advisory concerning a newly discovered post-exploitation method targeting previously known vulnerabilities. Ivanti has announced security updates to address vulnerabilities in its Connect Secure, Policy Secure, and ZTA gateways, specifically CV 2025-22457. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Munshotai introduces Kimi VLA3B Thinking, a streamlined open-source mixture of experts, Vision Language Model, VLM. This model excels in advanced multimodal reasoning, long context comprehension, and robust agent capabilities. Remarkably, it achieves this with only 2.8 billion parameters in its language decoder. Kimi VLA3B Thinking stands toe-to-toe with state-of-the-art efficient VLMs like GPT-4o Mini, Qwen 2.5 VL7B, and Gemma 3-12B IT, and even outperforms GPT-4 in certain specialized areas. Hamas is prepared to release all the remaining hostages in exchange for the cessation of the conflict, according to the group's leader in Gaza. The Wall Street Journal reports that Hamas is facing severe financial difficulties, being so short on funds that it is unable to compensate its fighters. A portrait of a Palestinian boy who tragically lost both arms has been named the World Press Photo of the Year for 2025. In the ongoing tech conflict, NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, emphasized China's importance as a crucial market during his visit to Beijing, despite the United States imposing restrictions on AI chips. AMD anticipates an $800 million financial impact due to the U.S.'s new licensing requirements for these chips. A committee in the U.S. House of Representatives is investigating whether DeepSeek utilized NVIDIA chips that were subject to restrictions. Huawei has introduced an enhanced version of its AI-driven smart eyewear, aiming to make a mark in the highly competitive market. Microsoft Research has revealed BitNet B1, a 1-bit language model trained on a vast dataset of 4 trillion tokens. This model is said to deliver performance that rivals top open-weight, full-precision models without the need for GPUs. Meta has reportedly restricted Apple Intelligence on Facebook and its other iOS applications. It is also said that Meta sought financial assistance from Amazon and Microsoft to support the development of Llama. Tencent is providing 28,000 internship opportunities as China faces challenges with youth unemployment. In India, due to the impact of tariffs, IT companies have reduced their hiring targets, leading to a 20% decrease in demand during the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025. In the United States, leaders in South Dakota are supporting Rassner Media's deal with TikTok and are encouraging the Trump administration to lend its backing. Trump announces that a minerals agreement with Ukraine will be finalized within the next week. Russia has decided to remove its ban on the Taliban as its relationship with the group continues to strengthen. Marco Rubio has stated that the United States will cease its efforts to broker peace in Ukraine if there is no significant advancement in the coming days. This comes as Axios reports on the situation, noting that Putin is testing Trump's patience by delaying ceasefire discussions. A U.S. judge has ruled that Google possesses unlawful monopolies in the realm of online advertising technology. Elon Musk's Starlink is gaining significant market share in Nigeria as part of its broader expansion efforts across Africa. China is set to enforce stricter regulations on electric vehicle self-driving technology, prohibiting the use of terms such as smart and autonomous in vehicle advertisements. South Korea's recently introduced visa aimed at addressing the labor shortage is encountering opposition. Japan is experiencing a rapid increase in inflation, with rice prices rising at their highest rate in the past 50 years. Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has engaged in diplomatic discussions with Myanmar's junta leader during a challenging week of international relations. A report indicates that China's container bookings could decrease by as much as 60% due to the impact of U.S. tariffs on trade. Temu has significantly reduced its advertising expenditure in the United States, leading to a sharp decline in its ranking on the App Store following the imposition of Trump's tariffs on China. Furthermore, Fitch predicts that Hong Kong banks will experience the largest increase in bad loans across the Asia-Pacific region as a result of these U.S. tariffs. AI-created music makes up 18% of the total tracks uploaded to the music streaming platform Deezer. Google employed artificial intelligence to deactivate more than 39 million advertising accounts that were believed to be involved in fraudulent activities. In the United States, there have been discussions about the challenges faced by community colleges as they grapple with the influx of students who are suspected of using automated bots to complete their work. A study reveals that immigrant entrepreneurs are prevalent in major U.S. artificial intelligence companies. In the United States, the Department of Homeland Security is warning Harvard that it may lose its status to host international students if it does not provide disciplinary records. A report indicates that global financial institutions are advancing in achieving gender balance, despite facing opposition to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has stated that while Trump's tariffs are expected to hinder economic growth, they are unlikely to trigger a global recession. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has raised concerns about the impact of tariffs, leading to a decline in stock prices. Trump has criticized Powell for not reducing interest rates. Furthermore, some of Trump's supporters, including Joe Rogan and Dave Portnoy, are now expressing doubts about his tariff strategies. A Pew survey indicates that Americans' negative sentiment towards China is becoming less pronounced. The use of sunscreen, protective clothing, and seeking refuge in caves likely contributed to the survival of Homo sapiens approximately 41,000 years ago. The Webb Space Telescope has identified the presence of methane and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of the exoplanet K2-18b. Furthermore, Harvard's RoboBee has developed a stable landing method that could be utilized for pollinating crops. Lab-grown chicken can now be made into nuggets thanks to artificial blood vessels. 3 types of ticks in the U.S. might be responsible for an enigmatic allergy to red meat. A large circular tomb containing individuals with battle wounds has been discovered in Peru. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, is reportedly planning to discontinue its regular food safety inspections, according to sources. Members of the World Health Organization, WHO, have reached an agreement on the first global pandemic treaty. Furthermore, Reuters has announced that the U.S. Consumer Safety Agency intends to cease gathering a significant portion of data following reductions by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. The United States has imposed sanctions on the International Bank of Yemen, accusing it of aiding the Houthi rebels. The U.S. claims that a Chinese satellite company is facilitating Houthi assaults on American interests, prompting the imposition of new sanctions on Chinese companies importing Iranian oil. Furthermore, the Trump administration has introduced fees for Chinese ships entering U.S. ports, leading to a decline in bookings and the cancellation of Chinese freight ship arrivals as part of the ongoing trade war. Discord is implementing a process to verify the age of certain users by requiring them to submit identification and facial scans. In the United States, New Jersey has filed a lawsuit against the messaging app Discord, accusing it of endangering young users. TikTok is introducing its own feature called Community Notes. Liz Truss is planning to launch her own social media platform that she claims will be uncensorable. Vladimir Putin praises Elon Musk as an exceptional trailblazer. SpaceX, associated with Musk, is leading the competition for a $10 billion Golden Dome defense project proposed by Trump, as the Pentagon considers adopting subscription-based technology. Hue Control introduces a quantum technology that is resistant to jamming and boasts an accuracy 50 times greater than that of GPS. French President Emmanuel Macron has declared the establishment of a collaborative commission to investigate the historical debt that Haiti owes to France regarding its independence. In a related development, Turkey has apprehended 525 individuals in what the minister described as the nation's largest anti-narcotics operation. There are reports suggesting that AI personas might be functioning as undercover police officers, interacting with suspects online through platforms like social media and text messaging. Bernie Sanders reportedly allocated $221,000 for private jet expenses during his Fighting Oligarchy tour. The New York Post notes that Joe Biden is facing challenges in securing speaking engagements, as he is requesting $300,000 per speech. George Clooney expressed the opinion that a Democratic primary should have been held after Biden exited the race. The Washington Post has published a report indicating that Trump's choice for the U.S. Attorney position in Washington, D.C., has made over 150 appearances on Russian state media. The Russia-associated Pravda network has been referenced on platforms such as Wikipedia, large language models, and X. Furthermore, Ukrainian President Zelensky has stated that Ukraine possesses evidence demonstrating China's provision of weapons to Russia. Global Payments is set to purchase WorldPay for a sum of $24.25 billion and will also sell off its Issuer Solutions unit. ABB is considering the separation of its robotics division to become a distinct publicly traded entity. OpenAI is in discussions to acquire Windsurf for approximately $3 billion. Trump and Meloni express optimism about the possibility of a U.S. trade agreement with Europe. Trump mentions that the U.S. and China are engaged in trade discussions and is optimistic that a resolution will be achieved soon. He asserts with absolute certainty that a U.S. trade deal with the EU will be finalized. Newsom declares a lawsuit against Trump's tariffs, highlighting the potential financial losses of billions for California. In another development, Indonesia plans to suggest a $10 billion increase in U.S. energy imports during tariff negotiations. The Trump administration has paused a $5 billion offshore wind project in New York while it is still under construction. Trump has issued a memo that prevents undocumented immigrants from accessing Social Security benefits. Furthermore, a former Pentagon spokesman, who was linked to an online initiative targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion, has been requested to step down, according to an official statement. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, is set to reduce its oversight of financial firms and decrease its emphasis on fintech, as part of the ongoing downsizing efforts under Trump's administration, which have resulted in nearly 90% of the CFPB's workforce being cut. The Trump administration is seeking a new location for the Housing and Urban Development Department, HUD, and has put the current HUD building up for sale as part of a broader strategy to sell off properties. Furthermore, the U.S. State Department is closing an office dedicated to combating foreign disinformation. Chrome extensions that have been installed by 6 million users contain concealed tracking code. Wikipedia is providing its data to AI developers to help combat bot scrapers. The hacking group known as Anonymous has announced a significant cyber attack on Russia and has made public 10 terabytes of leaked data. South Korean content surpasses UK content in terms of global viewership on Netflix. Nickelodeon introduces a new animated series titled Kid Cowboy on YouTube. Paramount Plus broadens its reach in Japan by forming a partnership with the local streaming service Lemino. In the United States, the expenditure on digital advertising reached a significant amount of $259 billion in the year 2024. In France, the Ligue 1 football league is encountering a financial crisis due to the collapse of negotiations between the clubs and the streaming service DAZN regarding a television broadcasting agreement. The Fire Festival 2 has been postponed, with no new date announced for the event. Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy's upcoming Star Wars movie has been officially named Star Wars: Starfighter and is scheduled for a theatrical release in May 2027. Glenn Powell will co-write and star in a Judd Apatow comedy centered around a country western star. Furthermore, a Star Wars animated series featuring Darth Maul will be available on Disney Plus next year, with Sam Witwer providing the voice for the villain. A United States citizen is currently being detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, even though a judge has reviewed and verified their birth certificate. Individuals who are immigrants, H-1B visa holders, or green card recipients are required to carry identification documents with them at all times, under threat of imprisonment if they fail to comply. Furthermore, ICE has recently disbursed tens of millions of dollars to Palantir for the purpose of conducting a comprehensive target analysis of known populations. In the United States, a well-known researcher specializing in ultra-processed foods has departed from the National Institutes of Health, claiming that he faced censorship. A French university has received applications from almost 300 American academics, offering them what is being termed scientific asylum. Additionally, a proposed rule by the Trump administration suggests that the destruction of habitats for endangered species would not be considered harm. China has accused the United States of meddling in its relationships with countries in Latin America. India's trade deficit with China has expanded to an unprecedented $99.2 billion, raising concerns about dumping practices. YouTube has been granted immunity from Australia's social media ban. Polish president supports efforts to gain access to France's nuclear protection. Australian Prime Minister expresses confidence in Trump and Xi during a debate with an election opponent. Ivory Coast's opposition selects Tidjane Thiam as their presidential candidate, with former banker Thiam renouncing his French citizenship to pursue the Ivory Coast presidency. Trump has reversed regulations designed to reduce arsenic and mercury pollution. Researchers indicate that approximately 15% of the global cropland is contaminated with toxic metals. In response to an increase in bear attacks, Japan has simplified the process for hunters to target bears. Variety has announced that the Pacific Rim television series, produced by Legendary and written by Eric Heiserer, is set to be developed by Amazon. Wendy's expressed a significant amount of respect for Katy Perry following a controversial post that suggested sending her back to space, although the fast food chain did not issue a formal apology. Former President Trump has appointed Fox News host Mark Levin to serve on the Homeland Security Advisory Council.
Get your daily news fix from NewsSource Crawler's latest edition. April 16, 2025, featuring crypto, politics, tech, and more. Top songs on YouTube music charts, global edition from April 4th to April 10th, 2025. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. El Mayor de los Ranas by Victor Valverde and Jair Torres. AJ Ki Rat by Madhubanti Bagchi, Divya Kumar, and Sachin. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global, spanning from Friday, April 4th to Thursday, April 10th, 2025. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Ordinary by Alex Warren, and APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. Top-selling digital games on Nintendo US as of April 14th, 2025. Minecraft, Hades, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and Stardew Valley. Discover the most popular games on Steam. Based on the revenue rankings from the top 100 products, covering the period from Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, to Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. The featured games are Counter-Strike 2, Schedule 1, REPO, and InZOI. CIS's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. Fortinet has issued an advisory concerning a newly discovered post-exploitation method targeting previously known vulnerabilities. Ivanti has announced security updates to address vulnerabilities in its Connect Secure, Policy Secure, and ZTA gateways, specifically CVE 2025-22457. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Moon Showtai introduces Kimi VLA3B Thinking, a streamlined open-source mixture of experts, Mo, Vision Language Model, VLM. This model excels in advanced multimodal reasoning, long context comprehension, and robust agent capabilities. Remarkably, it achieves this with only 2.8 billion parameters in its language decoder. Kimi VLA3B Thinking stands toe-to-toe with state-of-the-art efficient VLMs like GPT-4o Mini, Qwen 2.5 VL7B, and Gemma 3-12 BIT, and even outperforms GPT-4 in certain specialized areas. Harvard has decided not to engage in negotiations with Trump regarding its autonomy, asserting that it will challenge the demands made by the Trump administration. Trump has issued a threat to Harvard's tax-exempt status following the suspension of $2 billion in funding. Columbia has pledged to refuse any agreement with Trump that compromises its independence. Cornell has initiated a lawsuit against the Department of Education, claiming that the reduction in indirect costs for research grants is unlawful. Zoo elephants at the San Diego Zoo were startled by an earthquake and quickly formed a protective circle around their calves. 100 years after its initial discovery, scientists have successfully recorded the first confirmed video of a massive squid in the ocean's depths. Research indicates that elderly individuals who regularly use smartphones experience a reduced rate of cognitive decline. Excessive use of CT scans in the United States may lead to an additional 100,000 cases of cancer that could have been avoided. During his visit to Hanoi, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Vietnamese officials signed several agreements amidst ongoing tensions with the United States over tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump suggested that China's discussions with Vietnam might be aimed at undermining the United States. China's President Xi Jinping and Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim engaged in private discussions as Beijing seeks to strengthen ties with its neighboring countries. In response to the escalating U.S. tariff conflict, China has appointed a new trade representative. The United Kingdom's highest court has ruled that the term woman specifically denotes an individual who is biologically female at birth. In the UK, librarians are facing more requests to remove books, a trend attributed to the growing influence of pressure groups from the United States. A report from the UK highlights that outdated legislation has hindered efforts to combat misinformation in the context of anti-immigrant violence. The European Union has provided its employees traveling to the United States with disposable phones due to concerns about potential espionage. In Taiwan, the ruling political party has dismissed a former aide to the foreign minister following suspicions of connections to Chinese espionage activities. Reuters has announced that Dan Caldwell, a top advisor to Hegseth, has been placed on leave as part of an investigation into a leak at the Pentagon. Insurance company Lemonade has reported that a malfunction in their application programming interface, API, inadvertently revealed some drivers' license numbers. Hertz has announced that a data breach resulted in the theft of customers' personal information and driver's licenses. Chinese robotaxis are equipped with government-mandated black boxes and are nearing the quality standards observed in the United States. China has accused the United States of initiating sophisticated cyber attacks and has identified individuals allegedly associated with the National Security Agency, NSA, as being involved. The Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures (CVE) program, which is responsible for monitoring security vulnerabilities, is facing the imminent loss of federal funding, causing significant concern within the cybersecurity community as the program prepares to cease operations. The White House is planning to request Congress to reduce funding by $9 billion, which includes cuts to NPR, PBS, and USAID. According to the CDC, the prevalence of autism in the United States has increased to affect 1 out of every 31 school-aged children. In Japan, the year 2024 witnessed an unprecedented decline in population, as individuals prioritized financial stability over marriage. The European Commission has granted approval for the use of Leqembi, a medication designed to treat early-stage Alzheimer's disease. A Palestinian activist who was anticipating a U.S. citizenship interview was unexpectedly detained by ICE in Vermont. Hamas has declined an Israeli ceasefire proposal that included disarmament, according to a Palestinian official. The Israeli defense minister has stated that Israeli troops will continue to be stationed in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria for an indefinite period. In a related development, Meta has removed over 90,000 posts at the request of Israel, targeting pro-Palestinian content. OpenAI is contemplating the launch of its own social media platform to rival Elon Musk's X. Counterpoint has released a report indicating that the global smartphone market experienced a 3% growth in the first quarter of 2025, although the future remains uncertain. Apple has secured the top position in the smartphone market for the first time in Q1. In other news, India aims to add 300 million new users to its UPI payments platform. The Vatican has initiated the process for the canonization of Antoni Gaudí, known as God's architect. In Peru, a court has handed down a 15-year sentence to former President Ollanta Humala and his wife for their involvement in money laundering. France has expelled 12 Algerian officials amid escalating tensions over a suspected kidnapping. This follows Algeria's decision to expel 12 French embassy officials 2 days ago, after Algeria summoned its ambassador following France's indictment of a consular official in connection with a dissident's abduction. OKX, a cryptocurrency exchange, has resumed operations in the United States, just 2 months following a $500 million settlement with the Department of Justice. Kraken has announced a gradual introduction of trading services for U.S. stocks and exchange-traded funds, alongside its intentions to expand into the United Kingdom and Europe. Apple has blocked the applications of KuCoin, MEXC, and 12 other cryptocurrency exchanges in South Korea. According to Reuters, industry experts estimate that U.S. tariffs could impose a financial burden exceeding $1 billion on manufacturers of chip equipment. Nikkei highlights that the potential imposition of chip tariffs by Trump is causing significant disruptions to the global supply chain. Goldman Sachs warns that an extreme decoupling between the U.S. and China could lead to a substantial loss of $2.5 trillion in equity and a sell-off in bonds. Furthermore, the Financial Times reports that a high-ranking official from Donald Trump's administration has urged Europe to make a choice between adopting U.S. or Chinese communications technology. Google Search is set to implement a single domain for users globally in the near future. Apple has decided to rebrand its search ads business, now calling it Apple Ads. Furthermore, it has been reported that global advertising expenditure directed towards news outlets has decreased by approximately 1/3 since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Figma has discreetly submitted its application for a highly anticipated initial public offering in the United States following the breakdown of a $20 billion acquisition deal with Adobe. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Netflix is setting its sights on achieving a market valuation of $1 trillion. The Chinese artificial intelligence company Zhipu is considering filing for an initial public offering this year, inspired by the recent success of DeepSeek. An elite unit within the Pentagon has collectively resigned following a conflict with DOJ. A report from the Washington Post suggests that DOJ is gathering federal information to expel immigrants from their housing and employment. The Atlantic has remarked that DOJ is transforming the IRS into a tip jar for public services, with a memo indicating that the IRS might reduce its workforce by up to 40%. There are concerns that Musk's DOJ might have been responsible for a significant cyber breach at the U.S. labor watchdog. Japan has instructed Google to cease mandating that phone manufacturers include certain applications. A new feature in Android will automatically restart the device if it stays locked for a period of 3 days. Furthermore, Google DeepMind is currently seeking to employ a research scientist who specializes in the field of post-AGI, artificial general intelligence. 4chan has been taken offline due to what appears to be a significant hacking incident triggered by a meme conflict. In Japan, 4 individuals have been apprehended in connection with the sale of AI-generated pornography, marking the first legal case of its kind. Burglars have made off with millions of dollars worth of gold and jewels after tunneling into jewelry stores located in downtown Los Angeles. China's chip traders express frustration over the impact of Trump's tariffs, stating that their efforts are futile as orders plummet. Hong Kong's financial secretary aims to reassure family offices by emphasizing that their capital remains secure. In contrast, China's DGate e-commerce app is reportedly gaining popularity in the U.S. App Store rankings, while Temu has reportedly withdrawn its U.S. Google Shopping advertisements. A recent study has revealed that the climate crisis has caused the duration of lethal ocean heat waves to increase by a factor of 3. In Iraq, a severe sandstorm has led to the closure of airports and resulted in 3,700 individuals being hospitalized. In Sudan, the European Union and the United Kingdom have committed to providing millions in aid during a conference held in London. Piracy incidents have surged by almost 35% in the first quarter, primarily due to increased activity in the Singapore Strait. In France, prisons have become targets of what a minister describes as a terrorist attack during an ongoing drug crackdown. The New York City Council has filed a lawsuit against Mayor Adams, challenging his proposal to allow ICE officers to be stationed at Rikers Island. Apple is increasing its production in India and Vietnam, utilizing these countries as tariff-free zones, while Donald Trump has acknowledged that he lowered tariffs to assist Tim Cook. The European Union anticipates that U.S. tariffs will remain in place as negotiations show minimal advancement. The United States has announced that the majority of tomatoes imported from Mexico will be subject to a 21% tariff starting July 14. Meta announces its plan to restart the process of training artificial intelligence using publicly available content sourced from users in Europe. NVIDIA is set to begin producing AI supercomputers within the United States for the very first time, marking a significant milestone in American manufacturing. Apple is preparing to conduct on-device analysis of user data with the aim of enhancing its artificial intelligence technology. Michael Wolff implies that the Trump team considered proposing an outdoor show featuring Don Jr. as a strategy for Warner Brothers to gain favor with the White House. The director of Home Alone 2 expresses a desire to remove Trump's cameo from the film, stating, "I just wish it was gone. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country." Meanwhile, Trump criticizes CBS, suggesting they should lose their broadcasting license following 60 Minutes segments on Ukraine and Greenland, and he urges the FCC chair to impose the maximum fines and penalties. Furthermore, the White House is taking steps to restrict Newswire access after the Associated Press won a lawsuit. Hong Kong's postal service has decided to cease sending packages to the United States, citing what it describes as bullying acts. Additionally, a report indicates that China has instructed its airlines to halt the acceptance of Boeing jet deliveries. Trump's aide, Hassett, has stated that the United States has received amazing offers regarding tariffs and is 100% not facing a recession. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the United States intends to leverage tariff negotiations as a strategy to isolate China. The Philippines has expressed concerns that a $5.6 billion deal for U.S. fighter jets is in jeopardy due to the tariffs imposed by President Trump. Bloomberg has highlighted that the U.S. economy is expected to suffer significant financial losses, amounting to billions of dollars, as a result of foreign tourists choosing to avoid the country. PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, has ceased its operations in 9 African nations. In the first quarter of 2025, location shoots in Los Angeles decreased by 22% due to fires, although the effect on local filming activities seems to have been only temporary. Hermès has surpassed LVMH to claim the title of the world's most valuable luxury brand. Trump urges El Salvador's president to construct additional prisons for U.S. citizens, warning that homegrowns are next. Meanwhile, El Salvador's president refuses to send back a man mistakenly deported to the U.S. 2 months prior, Trump halted new civil rights cases and settlements, causing concern among advocates. Additionally, NBC reports that the U.S. government's case against Mahmoud Khalil heavily depends on tabloid stories, as revealed by an evidence review. The Maldives has decided to prohibit individuals holding Israeli passports from entering the country due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. In a related development, an Israeli military operation resulted in a strike on a hospital in Gaza, occurring just 2 days after the last major healthcare facility in the region was rendered inoperable. Hamas has reported losing communication with the individuals holding an Israeli-American hostage, who is considered crucial to the proposal for a truce in Gaza. According to the Financial Times, Friedrich Merz has stated that Germany is prepared to supply Ukraine with Taurus missiles. Donald Trump has criticized both Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky for not managing to avert the conflict in Ukraine. J.D. Vance has expressed optimism about the possibility of a trade agreement between the UK and the US, and he has also remarked that Europe should not remain a permanent security vassal of the United States. NATO has acquired the Palantir AI